I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you three things that makes video games complete assets in order to make autism much more workable. How do you do, everyone? My name is Tyler McNamer. I wrote a couple of books, Population One and Becoming One, and I'm the CEO of Autismworks. Today, we are going to talk about something a little bit more on the fun side. As you can tell, I'm in my casual wear. I did my hair a certain way, so I can't wait to get in this topic. This one's going to be about video games. Now, you may be asking, why video games? How's this going to help with my child who has autism? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you three things that makes video games complete assets in order to make autism much more workable. Number one, video games is a way to take a break from reality and into a much different kind of reality. Now, I always kind of like to have fun by putting video games, books, and movies into a same category, that they all have something in common. But video games are much more special because you get to interact with whatever's going on. You push a button, something happens. You move your character, and you do all these different actions, and you go on for adventure. And similar to books, where with books you turn the page to progress. Video games, you push buttons to progress. And when you put them all together, it becomes so interactive that oftentimes reality seems to fade away in a way. So what do we do? That's why I say number two. Because going into the video game world becomes such a safe haven, and it's very comforting in that sort of way. Number two is, I would like to encourage, and this is going to be a challenge for all you parents and grandparents out there too. The challenge is play video games. It's true. When you look at your child, pay close attention to what kind of video games that they play. Now, of course, I'm not a parent, saying that you have to play certain games or anything like that. When I was very little, we were very strict on what games we could play. It's like don't play the teen rated games or the M rated. That's what my parents taught me and to play, and saying that, hey, you're not old enough to play those games. So yeah, that's just what my parents personally chose me to do when it comes to playing games. So all I can say is that I trust that your kids are playing the games that you want to play. So the point is that sure, the kids play certain games like that, but what kind of games are they into? So the challenge is to simply dive into these little worlds, and to get to introduce yourself to these kind of worlds by simply playing with them. And when the time comes right, you can ask the child if they want to play with you. And believe me, because it worked for me personally. My dad and I, we used to play video games together, and I wasn't, believe it or not, my dad was a lot better at video games than I was, because there were certain like little boss battles that were so hard, and I had to have my dad to kind of complete them because they were so scary, and I couldn't do it without my dad. So it works because not only that he helps me progress, but it was also kind of more of a bonding moment too. And my dad also learned a few things here and there on how to play video games, and he even understood these different worlds, and be able to, in a way, I was going to say speak video game, but also speak in a way that you're also being a part of that world. And so when you're a part of that world, you're a part of the player's world, as you can tell. It's kind of like going through different levels. When you're at let's say level 3, then you would have a major breakthrough in understanding your child, and also communicating with your child in a different way through video games, believe it or not. And I even mentioned that too on previous videos, that said that people with autism communicate in different ways. Some with music. When they play certain music, this is how they are feeling. With movies, they play certain scenes on movies to reflect on what they're feeling. And through video games, they sometimes even even video games reflect on what they are feeling. Like I said before, I don't make the decisions on what people play or children play or whatnot, but I will say that, in theory, this is, of course, this is, don't take it from me, but in theory, this is what I think, is that when kids play very violent video games, then maybe they might be feeling angry or agitated, and this is just how they feel, and this is how they get their agitation out or anything like that. Like I said, this is in theory. Or when they're playing more lighthearted games, they are probably feeling happy, or like that. Or if they're playing, very funny games, then they're feeling, kind of in the giggly mood, and all that kind of stuff. I know because before I made it to the studio, I was playing something pretty fun and also pretty funny. Lego City Undercover, in case you were wondering, for the Wii U. So that's like one of the funniest games I've ever played. So I was in a funny mood. So that's why, to me personally, that's why I kind of played it, and it felt good. It felt really good. It's comforting in a way. So so that's what it is when it comes to video games. That's it. It's like they go for different moods, and when parents they see their children playing these games, they would probably get some kind of idea of what they could be thinking. Like I said, this is in theory, but it may work, it may not work, but give it a good try to ask them how they're feeling, how their day was, not kind of stuff too. It can even be casual too. Like I'm sure there are kids out there when they play all by themselves, they're probably looking for a player 2 or a player 3, or maybe even possibly a player 4. So my challenge for all the players out there that love video games, why don't you try and invite someone to play with you? Whether it be your parent or your sibling or your friend or anything like that too. It can be a tremendously different experience, and all that kind of stuff too. And don't worry if you feel like that they probably don't understand the game, or they might not be experienced with the game and all that kind of stuff too. Don't worry about that, because there's going to be an opportunity for you to show them how to play the game. And this is the big opportunity because that involves communication with a good social environment. So now's your chance to become a leader in showing them guidance on how to play the game. And for those who are familiar with video games, I do believe that video games in their core are for everyone. And whether people do not play or play almost all the time, every day, I do believe that they're for everyone, and everyone can enjoy them in their own specific ways. Whether you're playing or you just simply really like the art and the characters and the backgrounds and the worlds and all that kind of stuff too. Even my mom really enjoys games that I enjoy, and she doesn't really play them as much, but she enjoys them because of the different worlds, and they can be quite enjoyable experience for just about everyone. So the challenge for everyone is to be open-minded and to simply discover. And that brings down to number 3 when it comes to video games. Video games can be used as a tool for social situations. I remember doing a blog post. This was a while ago, a long time ago, but this all talked about a specific computer game known as The Sims 4. And what makes The Sims 4 really truly special is that you can do just about anything with what you put your mind to with these characters that you create and make them do. And this is where the tool part comes in. In The Sims 4, you can be either the biggest jerk in the world, or you can be the most friendly person in the world, because they are customizable. Here's one quick example. You can make your character come up to another character, and you can choose what he or she would say. Would you want them to be mean? Or would you want them to be mischievous? Would you want them to be funny? Or would you want them to be friendly? So, for example, if you choose friendly, you can say different things for being friendly, like saying hello or greetings, or other subjects that say talk about the weather, talk about the show that you watch, talk about the movies that you watch, or compliment their appearances, compliment their mannerisms, and all these different categories that you can make the character say under the category as friendly. And I will propose that one of these days I will show the parents and teachers about the Sims for one of these days too, and try to show you how this can be a tool for people with autism in social environments. So I can always pause the game and show you exactly how this is going to work, and you can replicate it to real life when it comes to social situations. That's probably why they call it the Sims, which is short for simulation, kind of thing too. And of course, not entirely simulation, because you gotta put the fun and the silly imagination to these video games. So that's what makes it kind of fun, It's and above all is that I do believe that people with autism have a ginormous amount of imagination. And video games, I do believe, really like to really like to celebrate the imagination, and that's why I said back in my book Becoming One is that books and video games have so much in common. The only difference is that one turns the pages, the other pushes buttons to progress. But this is also the other stuff that they also have in common, and that is the beauty of imagination. You can use imagination for books, whether it's just words, and you can come up with your own imagination in your head, and for video games, where you can play the games and you can imagine yourself in these situations, and maybe even expand on your favorite video games like that. Trust me, even at this age, I still like to do that too. Some of my favorite video games, and you can always ask me what some of my favorite video games are. So I'm always pretty happy to answer, whether I'm on tour or otherwise. Going off slightly off topic here, is that it's always kind of fun to answer the more personal questions, along with the topics about autism as well, because I always like a good conversation, and that's what makes the job pretty fun in its own way too. So it's a lot of fun. That's why it feels good to be casual for once, and I'll be back wearing the button-up shirt next time. So where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. So these different conversations for that kind of thing too, and oh, that's right, the imagination, and sometimes there's always a balance with imagination and reality. We can always go back. Sometimes just go back to our favorite video games. Go back to that one place where you feel safe. And keep in mind too, all you players out there, is that I always encourage to play when it comes to video games. But what I also encourage is to invite others, especially your parents or your siblings or family members, to show them what is your alternative reality, or your what we call like a safe space now concept, and show them why you enjoy these things too. This is why I encourage that concept too. Don't feel like that you need to play video games alone. Although it is pretty fun, though. There's no doubt about that. It's fun to play video games all by yourself, but it's a balance. It really is. So just take at least one day. Try a weekend, or maybe Friday, or whatever day that you feel like is very comfortable to invite them to what you enjoy, and don't ever worry that you're afraid that they won't get it, or I'm afraid that they won't be good at it, or all that kind of stuff too. It may be an awkward experience. Don't worry about it. And for all the parents out there too, is please be open and make the best effort to understand what goes on in your child's world. And this is one thing that makes them happy. I always say that there's always a balance, even for me too, because I'm such an avid video game player myself. But I do know that there's a balance. If I play too much video games, then I won't get any work done, or I won't be able to eat or sleep. Trust me, I learned this the hard way when I was in a big marathon one time, and I didn't feel so good. so take it from me too. It's always a balance. You gotta have the breaks. And as I mentioned in the previous video about taking breaks, there's always those times where you step on the gas, and there are times when you lay out of the gas, or take off the gas and put on the brakes. That was kind of an analogy for not just for racing, but because I just really like racing games on the arcade. So that's where I got the analogy from too. So like I always say, there's a time to step on the gas, and there's a time to step on the brakes. So find your corners. When you use the brakes wisely, then then you will be able to make it to the finish line in first place. We will be looking forward to the gold trophy, and it's all up to you to find it. To find your victories and to reach the golden trophy, and that's what I would say when it comes to video games is that understand that this is can be used as a coping mechanism and also a tool. What I will say too is that also for video games, this is the one thing I also mentioned too, is that video games make people with autism. This is just what I've seen is that, and even from personal experiences, is that video games make people not feel alone. The way I see it is that when you put yourself in the video game world, then you become yourself. You are the hero. You are the protagonist, and you get to interact with all the characters in the video games. Whether it be supporting characters or background characters, or even the bad guys that you're trying to defeat. You interact with these characters, and you don't feel so alone because there are someone out there, even when they're unfortunately, I hate to say this, but even when they're not real, it still feels like there's some kind of companionship and all that kind of stuff too. And sometimes I'm even guilty of doing that as well, especially the background characters. I always kind of, for fun too. It's I know that's not real, and I know that's not reality and all that kind of stuff. But even today, sometimes I always kind of feel like the background characters just need some more love and appreciation, and some companionship. So that's why I like to go into the shops, the vendors, and kind of just go in there and say hi. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes that's what I like to do. It makes me feel good, and then after that just play on with the game, or turn off and go back into reading the books, and kind of thing too. So that's what makes it kind of fun, for these kind of things too. There's always a balance of imagination and reality, and we're at the point, all of us together, that excuse me, that we learn about how to bounce to extreme powers when it comes to reality and imagination, and it can be a fun experience. Every video game has a journey, whether it be from the 70s or even today, and every video game has their game overs. But you know what the best part about game overs are? Is that they encourage you to play again, is to try again, and they encourage you to come back next time, and we'll get to experience it all once more. Same with reality too. Is that you're always going to find a way to progress to the next level. And as I mentioned in Becoming One, where you start off small until you level up until you become experienced enough to take on the dragon. But you can't take it on all by yourself, and you can't do it at a very small level. You gotta learn to progress and learn how to ask for others for help, even for me, because I asked my dad for help, defeating the big scary bosses. And so you can do the same thing too, not just on video games, but also in life in general too. So if you look at in terms of that, then you can then it becomes a lot more fun. Trust me, real life can be challenging, and same with video games. The video games can be challenging, but if you kind of put them together into the point where there's reality and imagination, then all in all, it can be a really fun, rewarding experience. And that's why I like to do it. I like to challenge everyone for that kind of stuff too. So learn from these tips, and learn from these tips, and keep in mind too that video games are made to be fun, and when you find the fun, then you'll be feeling like you'll be coming back for more. And there are times when even you complete a game out there too. And you know what I like to do personally after completing a game? I like to start all over and experience it once again. You can do the same thing too if you like. All you gotta do is put in the creativity, the imagination, and to make these games much more rewarding the second time or even the third time, and however many times you like. And like I said before, video games are for everyone. You don't have to play it if you want to fully enjoy it. And for parents out there, grandparents, teachers, professors, give video games give the video games a try. Understand what makes them special. And I always never push away the other forms of entertainment, like movies, TV shows, and books, because the way I see it is that video games are just as important as all the other mediums out there. The way speaking of creativity and imagination, I always like to imagine video games and books, movies, and TV shows as human characters, and they all and video games, they get to come into the group, and they all get along with each other. And that's the way I kind of like to see it too. So no, there is no higher rank or lower rank to entertainment, because they're all very special. They're all in their own ways, and that's why I like to encourage. Give video games a try. You may not be experienced or good at them, but the most important thing of video games, just like every other entertainment medium, is that they are built to have them to be rewarding and fun. All you got to do is find the fun, just like I have with pinball. And the start button is right in front of you, and it's up to you to choose if you want to press it. So here's the start button. Are you ready to press it and start the game? The choice is yours. Thank you very much. Good night.